Hello, one and all. Welcome again to another episode of the Pony Files. I, as you all know by now, am VT, and we are still within Nightmare Month. And in Nightmare Month, this is the time of fears. Fears of whatever that fears us. But not this time, not about demons or ghosts or what have you, but this time it's the fear of the unknown. An unknown being a zebra named Zecora who comes into Ponyville for whatever reason. This episode, as you can all imagine as an African American, I find this episode a bit off, at least at first. But I didn't want to judge it strictly on just the first few minutes. I wanted to see where they went with this. And we'll get to that later on. In this episode, we get a little bit of interesting tidbits. Especially when we learn where Zecora comes from, which is actually part of the reason why she's feared. She comes from the Everfree Forest. And apparently in the Everfree Forest, the plants grow, animals care for themselves, and the clouds move all on their own. My God, if these ponies come into the real world, it will blow their minds. I really hope they do something like that. But moving on. As the episode progresses, and everyone's pretty much being freaked out about this, I mean, even Pinkie Pie's doing like a weird little song about it, evil entrance, she does evil dances. There's one pony out there who actually has the guts. Two ponies, really. Twilight, at least at first, is not afraid over first appearances, and you have Applebloom. But unlike Twilight, Applebloom just decided, you know what, I'm going to see what this pony is all about. And thus, off to the races. Throughout, as the episode progresses, each one of the ponies ventures into the Everfree Forest, and they all get a case of what is called Poison Joke. Pretty much a hex or curse or concoction that pretty much brings down what they're proud of and pretty much turns it against them. Rarity, her hair, her body is like weird, damp, vine-like things. You have Applejack, who becomes tiny. You have Rainbow Dash, who flies upside down and backwards. I think her wings are inverted. I think I caught that. I need to double check. You have Twilight Sparkle, whose horn becomes down. Limp Sparkle. You're welcome, Spike. You have Fluttershy, who gets a deep voice. Flutter guy. And you have Pinkie Pie, whose tongue swells and she can't speak. But anyway, Twilight at first was pretty cool, but she kind of got annoying a little bit how she just refused to accept hexes and curses. Even Rainbow Dash pretty much points this out to her. That she's a unicorn. Magic is what she does, and she has a hard time believing that hexes and curses exist? Really? Ugh, that was so... Anyway, but as the episode progressed, they all confront Zecora, and they find out that she's not exactly as bad as they originally believed. But even before then, even Twilight eventually succumbs to all the the creepiness. It's like, what's different? So it must be bad. It took her a while, but it still happened. Overall, I give this episode a 4 out of 5. Some, little tidbits and little nitpicks about it, but overall, not too shabby. It pretty much overall gives a lesson that just because something's different doesn't mean it's bad. And it's something that's a lesson that needs to be told time and time again until people get it. My character episode is Applebloom. While I do love Zecora, I love her voice. I love how she rhymes. The fact of the matter is, this category has to go to the one character that grabs my attention the most. And the fact that Applebloom was the only one that was willing to talk to Zecora, find out more about her, to understand her better. And that she's just a filly, she's a kid, speaks volumes. I'm sorry. Kudos to you, Applebloom, and kudos to Hasbro for actually pointing it out. Sometimes it's the children that sees more than the adults. And this episode really shows that. Well, that's my overview of this edition of the Pony Files. I hope you all enjoy it, and I will see you on the... Oh, shit. Excuse me.
Run.